2011, Shasta Trinity National Forest, California. A young boy enters a cave with his grandmother.
And then she pulls out a piece of paper and in the boy's words says, "Could you please go poo on the paper?" And the boy explained that, "No, I didn't have to." She got upset. She tried to explain to him again that he had to do this, and he said that he couldn't. And the boy explained that at about this time, he realized that he's not talking to his grandmother, but he's talking to something else.
This is National Park, Secrets and Legends. Towering 14,000 feet above sea level, Mount Shasta is the tallest volcano in California. Many believe the mountain is also one of the most sacred places on Earth, a mecca for those seeking spiritual transformation and enlightenment. But it's also a place that may hide deep, dark secrets. November 2011, 19-year-old Michael Falvo ascends Mount Shasta on a spiritual quest with a New Age religious group. It's a 14,000-foot climb that takes 10 hours to complete.
They came back down after going up and putting their stones on the mountain.
He was walking down the hill. He had his shirt off. He got to the bottom. He looked back up the hill, took his shoes off, and went right back up.
Michael's sudden departure is without reason or explanation.
Michael had mild asthma, and already being up the mountain once, and hoofing it back up there a second time. You get up to 7,500 feet and it gets very thin up there.
Temperatures at night plummet to minus 10 degrees at this altitude. And Michael is all alone, with nothing to protect him from Mount Shasta's deadly elements.
Passed out and then, of course, died of exposure.
Michael's parents are dumbfounded. Their son's behavior is so out of character, they suspect that drugs might have played a role.
I called the coroner and demanded that they do a full tox screen. It came back negative, nothing, not even alcohol. And I think that raised more questions.
Questions about Michael continuing to climb up the mountain at night, as if being summoned by an invisible power. Mount Shasta has always been known for its unique and inexplicable forces.
Mount Shasta, this area around here has been inhabited since the end of the last ice age. And the people who have lived here have always venerated it as a sacred mountain because of the spiritual energy here.
Mount Shasta is known worldwide as a spiritual energy vortex. There's people coming from everywhere to feel the energy of the mountain.
But is the alleged energy of Mount Shasta drawn from a dark source? Because what happened to Michael Falvo isn't the only strange incident that occurred here. In August 2000, a recently widowed woman seeking solace is drawn to the legendary mountain.
Rosemary Kutz was a 70-year-old woman that had led a difficult life. She and her husband were got in a very serious auto accident where her husband had died.
To help recover from the tragedy, Rosemary takes part in a week-long spiritual cleanse in a lush forest near Mount Shasta. One morning, Rosemary decides to spend the day alone.
She wanted some type of spiritual retreat, maybe some meditation point where she could speak or communicate in some way with her husband. She walked to the other side of the lake. And this was the last time anyone ever saw her.
By sunset, Rosemary hasn't returned, and a massive search begins. 150 searchers scour the area. Helicopters with heat-seeking cameras scan every square mile of the forest. Rosemary has disappeared without any clues. Searcher Grizz Adams begins with the most likely theory, that she was attacked by a bear.
Bears will eat everything and anything. So you'll actually find pieces of clothing and backpack and tennis shoes and those kinds of things. You can find that in the bear scat. We searched for many days. We were never able to find any of her clothing, her backpack that she had with her. Nothing ever was found.
There was no scene of blood, no tufts of hair in a fight, no skin. There was nothing in that area indicating there was a struggle. Rosemary Kuntz vanished. This is a very, very beautiful location. It sits in a bowl, one way in, one way out.
The searchers are completely baffled. There seems to be no rational explanation for Rosemary's disappearance.
When they disappear with no trace like that, and it's unsolvable with the information that you have, it stays with you, and it matters.
This is not an isolated incident. Many have disappeared in and around Mount Shasta, but how many, no one can say.
When we filed the Freedom of Information Act request, we were told that there was no way for them to find out how many people exactly were missing.
Are park authorities concealing a rash of missing persons and other mysteries on Mount Shasta? Many believe there's a hidden connection among these countless disappearances. September 2nd, 2011.
A family was camping just near the base of Mount Shasta. It was late in the afternoon, sometime about 5:30 or 6:30, and something unusual happened. Their 3-year-old boy disappeared.
Mount Shasta in Northern California is one of the most stunning national forests in the United States. But could this natural beauty also have a darker purpose? Did Mount Shasta somehow summon a teenage boy to his death and cause the mysterious disappearance of an elderly woman?
If anyone ever tells you there's nothing dangerous on the mountain, they're either lying or crazy or stupid.
Mount Shasta's Native Americans have ancient legends about strange powers on the mountain's summit.
There's things up there that I don't wish I'm my worst enemy. There is a force to be reckoned with.
For thousands of years, the Indians have said, you know, there's all kinds of spirits that can be harmful, you know, to people if you go in certain areas.
We've been in existence for a long, long time, and our prayers are still, today, still sacred. And we still do ceremonies on the mountain, and those ceremonies mean something. And you fear the mountain because it could take your life.
September 2nd, 2011.
A family was camping on the McLeod River, which is in an area just near the base of Mount Shasta. It was late in the afternoon, sometime about 5:30 or 6:30, and something unusual happened.
The family's 3-year-old boy is somehow separated from his parents.
And the family got concerned because in this region, there isn't a lot of places to disappear to. There's big, big trees, there aren't a lot of small bushes, and the river isn't exceptionally large.
He ended up in a cave underground somewhere.
For reasons the boy does not understand, his grandmother is waiting for him in the cave.
Would you like to go on a walk with me?
Yes.
She takes him far from where anyone can hear or see them.
And then she pulls out a piece of paper, and in the boy's words, "Could you please go poo on the paper?" And the boy explained that, no, I didn't have to. She got upset. She tried to explain to him again that he had to do this, and he said he didn't, and he couldn't.
Just then, the boy fills with fear. He realizes that he's not talking to his grandmother. He's talking to something else. The boy is too young to understand who or what she is, but even at 3, he senses that she isn't human. 5 hours pass. The boy wakes up on a path in the forest, half a mile from where he went missing. He has no idea how he got there.
The boy is 3 years old. For a 3-year-old boy to come up with this story on his own without going through the experience is pretty hard to believe.
Luckily, the boy is not harmed. But once back with his family, something very unusual occurs.
The story goes that the boy went back home, and a few days later, he met with his grandmother.
As the boy describes his experience, the grandmother has a chilling realization. She was camping in the exact same place where the boy was found 3 weeks earlier.
Sometime during that night, she awoke to a stinging sensation at the base of her neck. And she asked her friend to look at her neck area. Her friend stated that at base of that neck, right over the spine, there was a puncture mark with a small amount of blood.
Is this just coincidence, or is there a link between the strange mark and the entity posing as the boy's grandmother?
There could have been some type of DNA taken from that spinal puncture mark and helped orchestrate this entity to look like a grandmother.
Did the entity want the boy's feces in order to clone him too? Mount Shasta's Native Americans have ancient legends that echo this bizarre story.
What I've learned from my grandparents and my mom and dad is that I wasn't to go above the tree line. So I asked them, well, what was the consequences if I went up there? And they told me I'd either get taken by the people that lived up there, the big people getting taken right out of there.
Mount Shasta is California's tallest volcano and a place of legendary spiritual power. But dozens of unusual deaths and disappearances dating back a century cast a shadow of uncertainty. Mount Shasta's native tribes believe those who are responsible dwell above the tree line. But who or what could they be? 1983, Jack Tom is a young Karuk Native American whose tribe has been at Mount Shasta for 10,000 years. Since he was a boy, his elders have warned him to never venture above the tree line.
And I was supposed to stay down below the tree line. I asked questions to him, why wasn't I allowed up there?
Despite warnings from his family and tribe, Jack decides to venture into the forbidden zone.
Me and my girlfriend was up there camping out, and we were camping in a spot just right above the tree line. And I was going, well, maybe we should move down a little bit. And she was like, no, we're fine right here. And so I was sitting outside and looked up on the hill, and here's these two big, gigantic people standing there. I said, you need to come out here and take a look at this. And so she came out and she looked at it, and her mouth just dropped right open. She was going, oh my God. It was something like you got scared, that kind of chill. It's just like goosebumps all over you.
Okay, let's close our eyes.
We both closed our eyes at the same time to make sure that, well, maybe we're just seeing things. And we did that 3 times, and on the 3rd time, they were gone. It was like really scary, and it was something that I never wanted to see again. And so we left. We got off the mountain that night.
Stories of encounters with these strange entities reach back over 150 years.
And there have been stories of Northern California starting from the late 1800s of people who are hiking in the area, meeting mysterious strangers who then suddenly disappear.
Who are these mysterious figures that allegedly live above the tree line? Author David Hatcher Childress believes they are Lemurians, descendants of an enlightened race that lived on a continent connected to Northern California long ago.
You have these ancient lost continents that are over 10,000 years old. One is the famous Atlantis, Another was said to exist in the Pacific area, and it's called Lemuria. And it too would have been an advanced civilization with boats and ships that went around the world and would have gone, say, to North America or South America and Asia as well.
Besides Jack Tom, many other people have reported seeing strange human-like figures around Mount Shasta, which many believe are Lemurians.
When Lemuria sunk, they actually relocated into different locations all around the world. One of the places that they relocated was Mount Shasta.
Some believe the Lemurians have transformed Mount Shasta into an energy vortex that lures thousands of visitors each year.
They are fifth-dimensional beings, which means they're vibrating at a higher frequency than me, and oftentimes they're just seen as spirits. And so one of their goals is to help us surface dwellers remember how to live in peace and harmony.
Jack Tom's experience echoes this theory. He recalls feeling more than just fear when coming face to face with the Lemurians.
It was kind of eerie, kind of scary, but yet it was exciting, inviting, and it was like saying, come on, you can come home now. It was nice to feel that, to feel the acceptance of them.
If the Lemurians are the reason for Mount Shasta's reputation as one of the most spiritual places in the world, why are people mysteriously vanishing from the mountain? Are the Lemurians conducting genetic experiments, cloning people like the Lost Boy's grandmother?
I believe that they are manipulating people for abduction purposes, for the procedures of changing our DNA.
Could this also explain what happened to Rosemary Kuntz, who disappeared without a trace from a lake near Mount Shasta?
Like, how can somebody just disappear, off the face of the earth? And the only ways that can happen is if something spiritual happens and they transform or go into a different dimension.
Some believe the Lemurians are also responsible for the bizarre death of Michael Falvo, who acted as if he was summoned up the mountain. Was this a Lemurian abduction that went wrong?
Some people call them Lemurians, some people call them aliens, some people just call them spirits, but they are demonic.
Many believe Mount Shasta is a beacon of spiritual light for people around the world because of an advanced race called Lemurians who live high up on the mountain. Others hold the Lemurians responsible for Mount Shasta's dark forces, forces that might have led to hundreds of unexplained incidents in the area, including the disappearance of Rosemary Kuntz, the luring of a young boy away from his family by an entity posing as his grandmother, and the tragic death of Michael Falvo that left his parents devastated.
Yes, I think there is a force up there that pulls these people in. I mean, it's serene and beautiful, and I can understand why people come up here. But, it's just very dangerous.
Was Michael overwhelmed by the unseen forces on Shasta's mystical slopes?
When somebody has had a spiritual awakening or opening that just kind of blasts them wide open, there's negative energy, dark forces, and things like that you can run into up there.
Are those dark forces the Lemurians themselves?
Some people call them Lemurians, some people call them aliens, some people just call them spirits, but they are demonic.
Some believe a secret Lemurian city is hidden within Mount Shasta's vast caves and volcanic tubes.
It's estimated there's tens of thousands of caves. This whole area is just literally hollow underground.
These caves could be the reason why the Lemurians sought refuge at Mount Shasta after their continent was destroyed.
In the continent of Lemuria, they were used to living in tunnels underneath the city anyway. So they ended up in tunnels underneath Mount Shasta.
After spending millennia building their secret underground city, some believe the Lemurians are now planning their next move.
These demonic beings live in the mountain, and I believe there's going to come a time when they're going to actually live among us. and that time may be now.
Some people claim that they are among us already.
Why would a non-human species hiding for thousands of years suddenly step into plain view?
I believe they want to breed with us. It's in fact about changing our DNA.
Rather than being an epicenter for spiritual seekers, Mount Shasta may have a much more sinister purpose. Some believe that the Lemurians may be planning an invasion of the human species.
I believe they're coming for a super war, you know, between the natural and the supernatural.
Oftentimes, stories are just stories, but as strange as it seems, there really is something going on here.
I know what I seen, and I know what I felt. There is a force to be reckoned with up there. They're not from this world. They're here to conquer Earth.